Back again. Hey, it's Kimberlee and welcome back to my channel. I make videos on all things lifestyle on a budget, and we are continuing this budget series focusing on the journey to being debt-free, paying off all my credit card debt, and what kind of happens throughout the entire process. We talked about why is it happening? So in this whole budget series, what I previously talked about was my original plan of how I was going to tackle my debt, then what actually occurred throughout the process, followed up by what tools and tactics I used near the end so that I could really get aggressive with my journey to pay off that debt. And then most recently, I talked about the process that I had for understanding my budget as a whole in general, which was the tracking your expenses. Definitely check out those videos if you haven't yet. And today what I'm going to be talking about is everything that happens after you've paid off your debt. After you hit zero, what happens next? Because there's a lot of things that have just been popping up that I think are worth mentioning so that you know in advance, or you can work towards those goals. And I'm also going to finally share what my credit score update was after finally paying off that debt. Just sounds great every single time. Now what I'm really focused on is continuing to really make good choices so that I don't end up back where I was. Yes, I paid off my debt, which is super great and exciting, but what is the plan going forward? You know, are you making some purchases here and there and then you're just gonna pay it off? Is there something to keep that credit utilization going? You obviously don't wanna use your credit card too much, because if you have like a utilization of over like 30%, it's not good for your credit. But you don't want your credit card just sitting idle and doing nothing, because that also is not good for your credit score. It's like all these things that kind of mix together. One thing that I wanted to continue to do, which is what I mentioned that I've been doing way before, and it's not really in the plan of what you're supposed to do when you're paying off debt, but I heard the tip and I decided to run with it. And that's the tip that I heard from the Budgetnista, which was to use your credit card for your bills and have them on auto pay so that you are actually accruing some sort of purchases on your credit card so it doesn't just sit there idle. In the end, you're still paying your bills. It's just how you go about doing it, whether it's instantly being taken out of your bank account or you charge it and then you end up paying that off later on. Most of my subscriptions and bills are charged through that auto pay on my credit card. There's just a few bills that don't allow you to put a credit card on, which would be like my Con Ed, so my electricity, my Verizon for my internet doesn't allow that, and then obviously like your rent. So combined with that, my charges so far are about like $150. So my plan going forward is to charge all of those expenses through my credit card and continue that so that I have some sort of utilization. I'm still not allowing myself to do any major purchases on my credit card. I know that that sounds backwards to some people. Some people really use their credit card so much and then they just pay it off because they have all the benefits of, you know, points towards something, rewards, etc. It makes sense. It would be really helpful if you're always going out to restaurants to just use that and you accrue the points. But I'm still not ready for that yet. Maybe in like 6 months when I feel like I'm in a good wave of allowing myself to have more purchases on there. But for now, I really just want to keep it simple, and I don't even carry my credit card around. I stopped carrying around my credit card like at least 4 or 5 years ago, when I was calling the credit card company being like, I can only make the minimum payment and it never goes down, like what should I do? And she was like, stop using your card. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't carry it. It makes it much easier, where it's like, this is currently the money that I have. You can't get anything else out of me, and that is it. My rewards program that I have with my card would definitely swell more if I started using it for restaurant purchases or whatever, but like I said, I want to keep that down. I don't want to use that as like a reason for carrying that card around or a reason for me to make more purchases. So let me get a handle on what I'm doing right now, and the same thing for you. Let yourself get a handle on what you're doing and controlling, and then when you can like start, you know, making wise choices with other advantages, then add that back in. So maybe in 6 months we'll talk about that. The two things to keep note about when it comes to the auto pay on your credit card is the closing date of your credit card and the payment due date. So for me, those are near the end of the month. And if you remember my previous videos, I was saying if you pay off your credit card at the beginning of the month, it's really great, because then you spend majority of your month having like zero or low balance, and those days matter when you're starting to figure out your interest and stuff. Well, now that I've paid everything off, that's not so much the big focus for myself anymore, because I'm not trying to hide the 1,000+ charges on there anymore. But the issue that I did run into is that some of the charges that I have on auto pay come in between that payment due date and the closing date. So I realized that one of my purchases is literally like the day after, it's like a couple days after the payment due date, but then it's before the closing date. And I was like, well, if I pay off my credit card like down to zero, it will look like it's zero, and that's great. But then in between there, that one last charge is going to come through, and that might add into the interest, because when you pay your credit card, it's like, here's what you paid, here's what your charges were, and then that's how it calculates the interest. So if I pay what's already on the card and charged by that payment date, it's not going to be everything or all those bills. It would be missing this one bill, and then I'll get the interest charge of that one bill in between. And you're like, wait, but I was supposed to be at zero, but now I have like a charge accrued. Not the end of the world, but for me, I really enjoyed the excitement of just seeing zero, period. And so if I see like $1 or whatever the interest would be, maybe it's like $2 or $5, I want to be like, man, like, get out of here with that. So anyway, I thought I would want to mention that too. If anyone's doing the auto pay, you do have to keep in mind about when those charges do come through in terms of figuring out what you're actually paying off. Now onto my credit score, which was what I was so excited about, because you know, that's literally at the forefront of everything you want to do going forward. It's like they're always talking about your credit score, and finally having paid off the debt, I was like, this thing is gonna soar. I can't wait. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so great. If you watched that original debt-free video, I gave a full trajectory of what my credit score had been throughout the entire process. Basically for the last, I don't remember how long it was, but I did full updates throughout so that you could see. Definitely check it out in that video. Where we ended off in August before I paid it off was that my credit score was 773, and I got the email that my credit score soared a whole 5 points. That's it. It just went up 5 points. I personally feel like there have been other larger jumps and my credit wasn't paid off, and now that it was finally paid off, it was only 5 points. I know I'm also being dramatic because my credit score is good. I'm very happy about it, and now I'm at 778, but I don't know, I was just looking for like something even higher, like a 10-point jump or something. So it went up. That's the good news. And yes, again, 5 points makes a difference in way many other situations, but you know, it wasn't as exciting as I thought. As you saw in the other video, I've seen way larger jumps, and I wasn't debt free. I want to speak to the manager. I want to know what the big bad credit people have to say about that. But no, it's really not a big deal. I just thought it was really funny because I was very excited. We'll see if there's another change like in September, but the only thing that would really be changing in terms of just charges and all that in general would probably be that the utilization will go down even more. So if you have a strategy with your credit card, comment it down below so you can help others out. Are you doing the auto payment bills as well? Do you have a strategy when you're using your credit card for the certain purchases that you make, or something big that you know you can easily pay off, but you just want to put it on your credit card instead? And going back to using your credit card versus using like your debit or banking card, I've seen the millions of TikToks that talk about how you just want to be using your credit card all day, every day. Like there's some that are like, why would you even have like the bank account card? Like that's such a waste. Personally, I just love the money in, money out. Like I can't explain why that's so convenient to me. It's just very straightforward. The money is gone if you take it out, not the money is due back later on. Like I don't want that. All right, let me step off my soapbox. Let's have a conversation down below as always. I thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.